Hi everybody, I'm Laura. Welcome back to my channel. I took a little bit of break and got myself a cold drink and everything and kind of set up what I was going to do. And I started out with, this has been through a whole evolution here, guys. And I should have two of these, and for some reason I only have one in my hand. So one is here that should not be here, and I will find it while I'm beading. I'll be like, why is that there? There should be two of these little beads left over. I'll find it while I'm getting my thread ready, because this is going to be a bead weaving, and here it is. He made his way over there. So as you could see, this took a whole new light as to what I started out. I'm not going to be using those beads after all. I did use from the October Kraftika box the big, I love this drop, this big bead. This is going to actually be fastened in 2 points. It will be fastened here and here. These will all come together at the center focal of this bead. And then this will drape down and fasten back up in here. These are natural turquoise. These are like little chunk bars. I picked two that were kind of similar size, similar look, and then I have replaced, that's where these came. I didn't like how it looked. It didn't fit the vibe. So when I was going through my Swarovski crystals, I wanted some black that kind of shone, and I knew that they had plenty of glitter. I remembered that I had all these real turquoise nuggets and things. So that's how this took on its own vibe. Whole new look, and I love it. And I think that other people will too. I also pulled out, I never got a chance to do anything with the kit for the oh gosh, I can't remember what it was called. But I bought the kit. I thoroughly intended on doing something with it, and I never got a chance to do it. But these are the Check Glass 2mm jet round beads strand by Starman. I don't know if they're still available through Art Beads. I'm pretty sure it's Art Beads. But I'm going to be using these fill-ins and up around the back. And it will probably be finished off with chain. And I was looking for my beading thread. Goodness. I wanted my blue beading thread. Hold on just a second. Let me see if I can locate it real quick. I had it out to use it, and I have like a couple trays of projects laying here. I have my white, but that will, here it is. It's in the bag. And I need my needles. And my really good scissors came up missing, so I have crappy scissors to use. But we'll get through it. Okay. I have scissors. I'm going to use my 1G thread. And I don't have any black, so we're going to use blue. And those are size 12 needles. I will never be able to see to thread that. I thought I had size 10 laying right here. I did. Well, let me get my thread. We'll use that. Well, maybe I don't have my threader laying right here. And I don't. Honest to goodness, and I'm dropping stuff today, guys. I don't know what's wrong with me. Okay, so not only have I misplaced my other needles, I cannot find my threader. So let me pause you a second because this is taking me too long. Okay, so I have pulled off more than a wingspan of thread. A wingspan is when, just like a bird, you open your arms wide and you stretch a thread between that. That is a wingspan of thread. For each person, depending on how long your arms are, how much thread that is. So if you're really long armed, you're going to have plenty. If you're short armed like me, you want to pull up a little bit more, which is what I usually do. And I normally struggle threading. So I started the threading off camera, and sure enough, it threaded real easily. I am going to pull my thread partway through my needle, so I'm not fighting with a huge amount of thread. I am going to take one of my more rounder beads. I'm putting it on. And I'm bringing it down here so that I have like maybe a, I don't know, 5 or 6 inch tail. And I'm going to go back through it. And this will give me a stop bead to work with. Now, if I was to pull this, it will come off, but it will keep my beads from flowing down. Now my needle is prepared and ready to go. I do want to kind of measure what I have out there because that will also determine how many of these little beads I'm going to put on. Like I said, I am also putting this on a jump ring. So I will be adding chain, and I will be also adding to the very end of this when I go back through to secure this one of them horseshoe things, guys. Words are not coming to me at the moment. And I'm looking right at them. They're right here in my tray next to me. Good grief. Anyways, when we get there, we'll do it. So, now I forgot what I was looking for. My tape measure. I guess I need to stop talking, get my tools out of my way because I really don't need none of this down here getting caught up in everything. Because right now we're just sewing. And my tape measure has flown the coop apparently. There it is, hiding from me. I set out my Christmas things because I will be setting up my first Christmas show in 2 weeks. So this is basically 8 inches by the time I get it all squeezed together and put this in the center. So 8 inches. So if I put, say, let me see, how much did they say this was? This is a, oh, it doesn't say how long the strand is. Does it say on the tag? No. Well, let's measure it. It is a 8-inch strand. So I could put, let's let's say 8, 2 and 2, so that would be 12 inches. Let's do that. So we're going to roughly put 2 inches of these on each end. So I'm going to break open this strand. And I'm sorry, I'm off camera here a little bit. So we're just going to give ourselves a pile of these Starman 2mm jet black beads. These are gorgeous. These are check glass. So we're going to start at one end and work our way down. So I'm pulling off roughly half of this or a little more because I will be using it in the bottom part also. So we're going to start with one end. And because we're going to go down through and then we're going to work our way back, I'm not going to put my wire guardian, that's the horseshoe thing, on first. So we're going to start by picking up approximately 2 inches of these. So I have 1, 2, 5, 6, whoops. Let's drop them out of my way. 6, come on, little dude. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. We can actually measure this and see how much that is. I could tell you that's not quite 2 inches. So I want 2 inches of these, and that's how far we gotta go. 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Let's try that. I think we lost one of them way over here. If you don't have one of these little measures, they are fabulous for beading. 19, 20, 21, 22. Let's try that. I think we'll go with 24. So 24 of these is roughly 2 inches. And we're going to call it. And I'm going to put these all the way down to my stop bead. I'm going to get my cutters out of the way. So this is what we have. And then we're simply going to be picking up our beads. And you know what? I think I want a gold seed bead. These are 11/0s. And then I will pick up, this is out of our Kraftika box. And then one of the cube beads out of the Kraftika. And then I think before we add the turquoise, I will again add a 11/0. And the turquoise, you really have to look for those. They are misformed, misshapen. They are just nuggets that are rough cut, rough formed, and just whatever they happen to be is what they are. So they are very unique, each one, and there's no real matching them. So that's how that looks so far. I really, really like this. I like how this is going. And now we're going to come in and grab another cube another one of these, and then I'm going to grab one of my Swarovski crystals, and I think before we put on that next cube bead, I'm going to go ahead and separate that Swarovski with a 11-0, and then we're going to go ahead and do another 11-0 for the turquoise and after the turquoise. This one is more of a flat color, flat one. I'm going to do an 11-0 cube bead and an 11-0. And now we're just going to go ahead and go into all the Swarovski. There's 3 of them in a row. I really like them. And I'm going to show you where we're at, bringing them all the way down. Oh my gosh, look at how this looks so far, guys. I love it. Oh my gosh, I'm so glad I changed what I had planned on doing. Not sure where this guy came from, so we're going to leave it right here because I'm sure he came out of here somewhere, and we're going to have to look and see where. If not, that's okay. I may have caught him with a string from this pile. And then we're just going to keep going. This is my center spot right here where this bead will be going. And we'll show you that here in a second. So we're going to pick that up, pick this up, and I have 2 of them. There's supposed to only be 2 in a row. So we're going to scoot you out of the way. You're an extra. And then we're picking up one of these, just like that. 2 more. And then we're picking up this bead that's going to be kind of my center before I put on my big bead. And we're going to slide them down. So that is what that looks like so far. Now, my big bead is going to be cradled by, I misplaced him. There we go. These 2 beads here. So we're going to pick that up. Pick up this big bead, which is kind of like, has this little shelf-like thing right here. Like that. And we're going to put that on. Now remember, this big bead is going to be going through quite a few times. For this side, for the top row of beads and for the lower row. So we're going to put him on, bring it all the way down. So far, this is what we have for the top row. And then we're going to finish beading up this side. I want to make sure I'm doing in reverse what I already have on here. Well, actually, it'll look just like what I have on here because I have him flipped over right at the moment. So I have this one and then 2 of these. This flat disc. A lot of these are out of the Kraftika box. 2 of these. And here's where I was missing this one. These are all Swarovski crystals, these 3. So I'm going to compare what's on my needle with what's right there. And I'm going to drop them down so they're out of my way. Those are correct. Now, from here, I added an 11-0 square cube, 11-0. I have the 11-0 out of sight, I'm sorry. And then this natural turquoise, an 11-0, a square cube, an 11-0, and that puts me right there. I'm going to drop these down so they're next to where they're supposed to be. And then I'm going to have to straighten my thread because my tail is down meeting my thread. Okay, so now I am to here. I'm picking him up. I'm picking up, there's supposed to be one of these, which is right here, my cube, an 11-0, which I'll have to get more out. So let me spill out a few more of these. I'm using them more than I thought I would, like so. So I have what I have picked up. I'm at the square cube, so I need an 11-0. My turquoise, an 11-0, a square cube, my fire polish, an 11-0. I'm going to set the spare fire polish to the side. I'm sure he came from somewhere else and hung up. So my side should match at this point. The only difference will be the size of my turquoise chips will be different. But I'm going to take a second and go like this and double check and make sure I have everything correct. Fire polish square cube, 11-0 turquoise, and I have two 11-0s on right there. So I need to back this all off and take that out. So when you're working with thread, never try to put your needle back through pointy part first, because when you do that, you're going to probably stab your thread. So, all right, now let me see what I have. Pick up my turquoise, 11-0, square cube, fire polish, 11-0. I'm not going to drop them down until I check. So I have gold, cube, fire polish, Swarovski, gold, cube, gold, turquoise, gold, cube, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, fire polish, that, 2 fire polish, Swarovski, and a big bead. Got it. Now I can drop them down. You always want to check before you get too far into your piece, because you could really have a big problem. All right, so we're going to go ahead and add 24 like we had on the other side. And I'm also going to add a wire guardian when I get there. So I have 4, 6, and I'll bring you back when I get ready to add the wire guardian. Before I put my wire guardian on, I am going to measure this for you. It is right there at the stop bead. It is about 11.5 inches. So by the time I add the wire guardians, it'll be about 12 inches. And this is where we're at. And that is a good length because you'll be able to see the beads and everything in front of your neck. This is going to be more like a collar length with a swag. I'm kind of considering making this maybe 3 more beads longer, and that's why you always want to have a long length on the other end. Just because it'll give it, let me see, where does this come on me? Yeah, you know, I do kind of want to make it just a hair bit longer. So I think we're going to add a little more. And that's why you always want to leave yourself a good length. So I have 24. I'm going to add 6 more. So that is 30. And I want to remind myself to do 6 more on the other end. I think that will give it just the right amount of beads to give it down away from the chest, not so far up on the neck. This focal and the beads will land more on the, you know, below your neck itself. So because we are coming into fall and we do want this to show, but we want it to come down a little farther without using so much chain. And I do have a lot here, and all this is going to do is come down through a few beads and then tie off. So we have plenty, and we can always scooch, and we could do that now if we want to. Let me show you how easy this is. Just give it a little tug, and then give this a little tug, and you've given yourself an extra ton of thread. Always make sure you have extra thread. So do I want to add a little more? Let's see. And no, I think that's going to be perfect. Amazing what 6 more of those little beads does to the length of a necklace. Absolutely perfect. Let's go ahead and add our wire guardian. Okay, let's get that one out of our way so that we don't get it tangled. We're going to come up through a leg of our wire guardian. It has this little hole right here. And we're going to bring our string all the way up through, up to our bead, just like that. And I am going to hold this in my finger. And it's going to be loose because we have beads that have not been gone through or tied off. So don't worry about that right at the moment. What we're going to concentrate on is going through this wire guardian. And then we're going to come back through the other leg of that wire guardian. Just like so. And it's going to look like that. And because we're only using 1 row of beads, I am going to squeeze my wire guardian in so that the legs are close together. Let me get my pliers and do that gently so they look like that. Give it a little tug. Now we want to make sure that that thread stays in that little channel. Now we're going to come right down through these beads. Whenever you go to start a beading project, always make sure your needle will go through these beads more than once. And I'm going to go through every single one of these beads. Get my finger out of my thread. And I want to make sure it does not tangle around itself up here and pull that wire guardian tight. And you want to make sure you do not miss a bead. And it can be fiddly. Just take your time. And if you can only do a couple beads at a time, that's fine. As long as you take your time and you just don't want to miss any. And just give it a tug and it'll tighten back up. The only beads I did not check was my turquoise. Wouldn't that be a note if right here at the end, I cannot get through that turquoise twice? That would not be good. Oh yeah, it's got a nice big hole. Not a problem. Coming out way down here with this fire polish. Make sure you mind your thread so that your thread doesn't get looped up into anything or tied around something it shouldn't. Make sure you're always giving it a little tug. I had to look up, make sure I'd unpaused you guys. Make sure you don't miss all those little 11 O's. Because if you miss something, it will definitely show up when you are finished with your project. Oops. Let's stop and straighten this out. Hold my end up here and give it a tug. We're going to kind of pull these out of the way. And I am here where I want to, yes, this is the bead I want to start adding these at. So I have to decide, I'm going to put my thread needle down. So this is one of the round, them coming out of right here. This is one of the round Swarovski, and I want to come up. These are round Swarovskis. This is one of the bicones. And I want to put this here. I think I want to put that up against like that. Like this, like this. I might take the bicone out of this equation completely. And we're going to add in some of these. Because I do want to make this swag down. Not a lot, but I do want it to. And then these three on this end. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to come in. You can see our thread is exiting this round bead I put on. We're just going to pick up 3 of these 2mm Starman beads on my needle. 1, 2, 3. I want to make sure I have everything the same on both sides, so get these all pulled away from here. Okay, and this is where that extra one of these came from. See that? I was like, where did that come from? There's 2 over here. So we're going to go ahead and add it in now, where it should be. And then I'm going to add 2 of these round Swarovskis. And then I'm going to add a gold seed bead. This turquoise, but I want to make sure, yeah, it's good. I didn't want to have it go up inside of that turquoise barrel bead, you know, whatever you want to call it. 2 more of these. Get my fire polish down here. And then these 3. If I can get a hold of it. There we go. I'm going to pull this all through like so. And you're going to see that this is going to swag down. And now we're going to come up into here. And we're going to go back through these beads right here that we have not been through. And we're going to go this way. And there's a reason for this. We need to reinforce this section. Whoops. Make sure we don't wrap around him. So what we're doing is we're going to reinforce this section of beads. So we're essentially going to go backwards where we were and go back towards the bead that we went down on. And this can be a little fiddly. So if you need to pick up your piece, you can, or just go bead to bead. I'm going to just do whatever my needle will comfortably go through without missing. You don't want to skip any beads. Make sure your thread is on the correct side so you don't have a knot or tangle yourself up. And we came out right up there, so make sure you tug everything. So lay it down, give it a tug, because you got a lot to tug through. A lot of loops and things like that. I'm going to come back here, come up through. Make sure my thread is correct on the right side. If you have your thread trying to knot, back it back up. Take your thread and fix it. There you go. All right, I've tangled myself around my tail end. Okay. Come on, little dude. There we go. So I'm back to the bead that I went down through. In order to do this correctly, I'm going to go up through here to this gold seed bead. I'm going to use this gold seed bead as my anchor. And then I'm going to kind of come down away from that gold seed bead and down into these. You're going to have a little bit of thread showing there at that gold seed bead, but it is so minimal it won't be that noticeable. Give everything a little bit of a tug. You want everything to be tight or as tight as possible. And then work your way all the way back up through. Again, if you need to go and make more than one, take more than one pass through to get there, that's fine. Now we're going to keep going up. And then here, instead of going that way, we're going to go into this bead. And I have a lot of looseness here, so we're going to have to try to tighten all that up. Give it a tug. Lay it down. And I'm going to have to rearrange all those beads, but they're in my way for right now. We're going to get them out of the way. Lay this out. And hold your other end. And lay this down and give everything a snug tug. There we go. So we're coming out of this bead and we're going to start down this loop here. So we need these 3 on first. And you can do this with any large dangle stone that you've got, any stones that you've got, whatever you want. It doesn't have to match what I'm doing. We're going to put on a fire polish. These 2 round beads. These are Swarovski. A gold seed bead. This turquoise. He's a little funky cut, but you know, that's the reason why things are natural nuggets and things. That's perfectly fine with me. Another gold seed bead. These 2 Swarovski. I've lost the fire polish. Hold on, guys. He's here. If I can't find him right away, I'll get another one out. Just reach over here and grab me another one. He's amongst the missing. I had him and now he's missing, but I'll find him soon enough. Oh, I only needed 1 fire polish. That's why. Goodness. We don't want to split our thread, so we want to put him back off the needle like that. And then 3. 1, 2, 3. And then we're going to go up to this bead right here. Do you see a difference, guys? Oh, nope, wait. I was going to go into the wrong bead. And we're going to go through these 2. And we're going to pull it. And then I'm going to come back to this one. Oops. I know my fingers are in the way. Just give me a moment. And I'm going to come all the way back through these beads here that have not had a second pass. I'm going to give them a tug. Now everything's snugged down. Always hold back here by your stop bead and push them down. Get my other stop bead tail out of the way. Come where I came out and continue down to my big bead. Hold back here, give it a tug. Push these all down where they need to be. And I'm debating. I think I will go through the big bead. Maybe not. Maybe I better not. come down. Catch all these and go all the way through them, making sure you catch those 11 O's on your needle so you don't forget them. Black thread would have been much better here, but I don't have any black thread, so. And using like Fireline or Wildfire, it's not, it doesn't flow as nice, so that's why I'm using thread. I was going to say, it feels like I missed a bead, and I did. So I'm coming out right here. Whoops. I'm going to tighten everything. And push everything from here. Now I'm going to come up into this bead and continue on my way all the way up through and remember to put 6 more of the Starman 2mm black beads on the end when I get up here. I know this is a long video, guys. There we go. It has been a while since I have bead weaved, so pardon me for all my little thinking twice about where I'm going with everything and what I'm doing. I don't normally bead weave on video when I do because it's not one of my best video performances because people don't bead weave in Alan's home, so it must be near lunchtime. So I'm going to pause you just for a second. Okay, so I'm back and let me finish getting this done. And I gotta get them all in one shot. I don't know why I was trying. There's more than what will fit on a needle. And just get all them, make sure they're all on there though. If you pick up your needle and do this and a bead is like wonky, you know you've missed one. I gotta pull my thread out. There we go. Get my tail. And I have a few more to go through. And I can go ahead and take this off. He's kind of in my way. And I'm going to go ahead and pick up 6 more of these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Look at that. I had the exact amount out. 6. I'm going to drop them on down. And I will be catching them on the next way down. That's not a problem. They will get a second, turn around. I'm going to grab my wire guardian. Just like before, we want to go up through one leg. Pull it down to our beads. At this time, we want to make sure that our beads are on there snugly. Everything looks good. We're going to take our thread, go down through the other leg. And you can see our thread did not go in that little channel. Put it back over there. Kind of hold it. Give it a tug so it's down there tight. And then I am going to go down through those last 6 beads and then some. So I've gone way down in there, quite a ways down. And I'm going to pull that snug. So the last 6 beads I have on there also have a second time through, and I'm going to tighten down my wire guardian so he doesn't stick out beyond my beads like that. So he just looks nice and clean. And then I'm going to take this needle off. Actually, we could go, I don't know, this is pretty tight. We could go all the way through this one more time and come out over here. But I think that what I want to do is I'm going to tie right here a loop. Get this thread out of the way so it's not disturbing you guys. Make sure we know where we're coming out, and I'm going to go around that bead, pull my tail so he's out of my way. Make sure you stay between the bead that you're in, coming out of, and you're going to want to pull. You're going to want to knot. Make sure when your knot goes that it's not binding your, if it is, just kind of loosen it up. And say, hey little dude, I wasn't ready for the knot yet. Hold on, Alan's hollering for me. Okay, so I continued to work while Alan was talking to me because it was taking forever. But I took my needle, pulled the knot back out, and loosened it and re-knotted it. So now I can go back up through that same bead without having the thread show. And it's going to be kind of fiddly, so just kind of, you know, pull your thread off to one side and work your way back up through. You could also just, you know, cut it there if you wanted to. My goal is to come up here and go around this. And one more time. I found this 1G is really strong thread. And you don't have to go through it one more time. I'll tell you, I have tried to break this 1G and it's not going to break. Actually, you know what? We're going to just come up here and do a knot right here with this guy. If you're making a piece that you're worried is going to break, then I would suggest doing it. But if you've never used 1G and tried to break this thread, let me tell you what. That is not breaking. That is not going to break. Let me just tell you that. So I'm simply going to do an overhand knot. I'm going to knot it right there. And then I'm going to do a surgeon's knot. This is why I like the 1G. And I have a necklace that I did, and I wear it, and I don't see any wear, or bracelet, I meant to say. So it gets a lot of wear, and I don't see any issue with my thread only being one time through my wire guardian. And it's a bracelet, so it's going to show wear if it's, you know, on your wrist. I really do need to figure out what happened to my really good scissors. We're going to cut this short. And then I'm simply going to, you know what? I don't have my matches handy. I'll have to we're just going to lightly burn that with a match so that that's not showing. Where did I put them? Unless Alan needed them and he took them, because they're nowhere to be seen on my table. Okay, we'll have to do that later. But here is the finished piece. I've got all these like in my way. You know what? We'll just put these away. These are all Swarovski crystals that I'm done with. Oh, and I have it closed. Hold on, guys. Let me open this. Oh my goodness. All right. Those are done. Now, we are going to put this on a chain. That's a fire polish. Let's go back in there. This is pretty. This is really, really, really pretty. The only time that I have a difference in size, it's because of these turquoise, and there's nothing I can really do about that. Let me get my, oops, those are not it. I thought that was my jump rings. So let's get our jump rings, and we're going to need 3 of those. We're going to need a clasp. We're going to need a 6mm. And let me go get a chain. I will have to see which chain I've got available. Okay, my phone is saying my battery's running low, so I am going to cut a piece of chain and I'll bring you right back. Okay guys, my battery's at 5%, so I need to get this done. This is absolutely gorgeous. I cut the chain so that there is 5 inches on each side, making this 22 inches. You can literally hook this anywhere and make this shorter if you wanted to. I love this necklace. Guys, let me know what you think. This is from Kraftika. Amazing box. Love you all. I'll talk to you guys down in the comments below. Bye, everybody. Love you all. Bye.